The human voice has an infinite variety of inflections to express thought, emotion, concepts. The bow and the instrument have exactly the same capacity. So instead of those aspects being located inside your body, they become externalized, and then you can actually use them as a way to express every single emotion that we could possibly have. The horsehair makes the sound by having contact with the strings, but the wood of the bow, Pernambuco, for some reason has both strength and flexibility. And part of it is the amazing richness of sound that somehow transfers from the bow to the instrument and then pushes out into the air molecules that move into your ears. All of those things combined made this wood superior to everything else that came before or after. It's amazing that a country is named after a wood, but Brazil wood was how Pernambuco was first known. And Pernambuco can only be grown on the Atlantic coast of Brazil. And 90% of the trees are now gone. So there's a group, the IPCI, working with the Brazilian government and working side by side with scientists to make sure that, that there is not only healthy growth of Pernambuco, but also to make sure that there are future supplies for bow makers.
This is the only wood in the world which is used at high-end bow making. It's imperative that we have this wood so that bow makers can continue this craft. This up a little bit. In 2004, we started the International Pernambuco Conservation Initiative. We now have 4 branches: United States, France, Germany, and Canada. We all pool our monies together and fund projects in Brazil, but also we fund projects in our own countries, mostly for educational purpose and to bring awareness to the issue of Pernambuco.
The species overall is endangered, so it's important that we take steps now to preserve the remaining natural populations in the forest fragments in which they are found. We need to protect those fragments and create buffer zones, reforest around the edges of those fragments. And we need to plant Pernambuco outside of the forests and the buffer zones so that there are other places to harvest the species outside of the natural forests.
Over the last decade, IPCI has worked with Brazilian government authorities, universities, NGOs, farmers, and local communities to carry out research, replanting, and education, and to further international awareness of Pernambuco's endangered status. Currently, IPCI is working in partnership with conservation organizations and universities in 4 Brazilian states. With IPCI's support, more than 200,000 seedlings have been planted in the Atlantic rainforest to date. IPCI's investments in science and forest management have resulted in a greater understanding of the measures needed to restore this endangered species. Just as importantly, IPCI's music education program has supplied students with stringed instruments and instruction, supporting a new generation's passion for stringed instrument music.
If Pernambuco does not exist anymore, it would be a tremendous loss to an art form that's been practiced for about 220 years. We try to make sure that Pernambuco is maintained because people have found it valuable and meaningful throughout the generations.
Please join IPCI today so that you too can help to ensure the future of Pernambuco and stringed instrument music.